Hi, this is Jen Gross. I am a independent fun stamper journey coach. My number is 586, and I am going to show you a very cool technique. And I have chosen 3 different colored papers here. I have chosen pumpkin pie, which is kind of like an orangish, maybe burnt orange brown. I have chosen Riverstone, which is more of a gray. And then also I have chosen Hazelnut Blend, which is a nice brown, but not terribly dark. So the technique I want to share with you today is actually how you can create a leather look with paper. So let me show you what I mean. This card I created, and you can see that up close, a look of leather, and this is the pumpkin bread. And so it's a little bit stiff. It's got some valleys and peaks to it. But what I'm going to show you is how you can actually create that. I also have a second card to show you where you can use the technique just even for like a little embellishment when you're working on it. So this is our new Problema stamp set, but it has a really cool suitcase with it. And so I actually did the suitcase again on the pumpkin bread, embellished it a little bit with some strips of our hazelnut blend to make it look like a suitcase with straps. So that gives you an idea of how you can actually take that leather look with the paper and utilize it for something other than just a background. So we're going to start out with our media mister, and this I've filled with water. And so I'm going to start with the pumpkin bread. There's a couple of things that you have to do for this technique, and one of them is wetting the paper but not oversaturating it. And so it's just filled with regular water, and what I want to do is I want to hold it back far enough where you spray it and it just starts to do that bend. It's just getting the fibers in the paper wet enough to be pliable but not to break or tear. Again, like 4 or so different squirts with the media mister. And so what we're going to do at this point is crumple it. It's still stiff enough, but what we're doing is we're adding crinkles to this. And so this is going to create those peaks and valleys and that leather look. So I want you to crumple it, but I don't want you to crumple it so much that you can't open it at this point in time. You want to have this workable, and so you want to be able to open this. And you'll see this is pretty crinkled right now, but there's still some areas, let me get that media mister out of the way, that I want to manipulate a little bit. What I want to do is I want to get more cracks in there. The more cracks you have, the more you can give it an aged look. And so I'm taking places where there's not a lot of wrinkles and adding more to that, as you can see here. Again, this is damp, but it is not overly wet or saturated, so it doesn't wring out, it doesn't drip, but it will need some drying time at a point. So as you can see now, we have a piece of paper that is not very flat, but it does have some interesting crinkles added to it. So the next step with this is actually taking the K block. This is our Fun Stamper's Journey, and it's block number or letter K. What I like to do is I like to use the smooth side, and this is basically going to burnish the paper. And so what you want to do is you want to hold it down with your hand, and take and press firmly and make circular motions away from your fingertips that are holding the paper. So what this is doing, this is flattening out the paper, but it's also making sure that this gets a little bit of a burnish to it, a little bit of a shimmer or shine. You're kind of shining up or buffing the raised part of the paper, but you're also allowing it to push those wrinkles in. So you're flattening out the paper, and I do that to both sides. Oops. And you can see here it's got a little bit more water, but look at that. You can definitely see that that has a different look. Well, we're not done with it yet. The next step is taking and making a concoction that includes our Journey Glaze, some water, and our Shimmer Gold. And so what I do, I've got this little jar here that has a little bit left over in it. So we are going to go ahead, and I'm going to take, and you want to do it, try to do a portion of, we're going to actually take that off and let it dribble in, 1-to-1 water and glaze. So let's see what we can do here. Oops. Okay, so pour a little bit of glaze in here. Oops. And yes, you can make a mess with this. It is very easy to do that. So be very careful as you're doing that. I fortunately have a little bit of a paper towel here, and we can wipe that off. But that happens. So I use a jar because I'm going to want to get at this. So we've got, you can't exactly see how much we have in there. I had a little bit of the concoction ahead of time that I was using. So now I want to put some water in there. So I'm going to take the media mister and just add about 3 or 4 squirts to it. And then shake up our shimmer and add 1 spray of it. And that's going to give it a little bit more of a shine. So then we go ahead and we take our jar, tighten it lid, and you can see that this has a little bit of a gold shimmer to our glaze concoction. So the next thing we want to do is take a piece of paper towel, and I fold it in a couple of times here. And then what I want to do is I want to slightly wet it, but I don't want it damp. I just want to give it a mist again, just so that it's a little bit wet. And we're going to take this, make sure you've got it against there, let it saturate a little bit here, put that aside so you don't spill it. And then we're going to gently start doing a circular motion, and we're going to gently, we're not pushing down very hard, but what we're doing, if you can see what's going on here, is I'm just letting the paper towel touch the top. And you can see we're just getting the top of the crinkles, not the recessed portion of the paper. And so what this is doing, this is giving it an age effect, but it's also, again, we've taken those fibers in the paper, and when we crumpled it, we loosened it up a bit. This is actually giving it back a little more stiffness. Whoops. Still a little damp, but it's also giving it a little bit more stiffness so you can use it. And so let's take a look at that. So this is with the half glaze, half water, squirt of shimmer gold, our shimmer gold color splash, and this is what ones here we can kind of take you can see what both of them look like. So you can see there's definitely a difference with that. This does give it a little bit more aged look. So I'm going to close this back up and put this aside, but again, easy to use in a jar, and you can reuse that. Again, this just, and you can wipe gently this way, up and down, left and right, but I do the bend, again, with circular motions, just barely touching the top, just to give it that look. So you can definitely take a heat gun and dry it a little bit, but once you get done, again, you're going to want to go ahead and burnish it again with our K block, or whatever block is more comfortable. I like the K because it gives you more coverage and you can do circular motions. So let's show you what I've done here. This one is a small version of it. It's dry, and it's, again, pretty sturdy but still pliable. But you would go ahead and you would just burnish over the top. And this is also going to buff it up a little bit. So gives you a little bit more of a shine. You've already got the glaze on it. But there, you can see really nice detailed leather look. So this is how the Riverstone turned out with the leather look. So these you can actually run through the die machine. It will flatten them out a little bit more. You've still got a little bit of texture with this. It'll take out the texture just slightly, but because you have added the glaze, you'll still have that aged look. And then here's that hazelnut blend. That's really pretty. So again, this is a great technique that you can use to go ahead and give a leather look to different items and different cards. So here it is again. Sorry. On the suitcase. No problema, I'll pack your bag. And here it is on a card that I made. This was last year's swap that I did. This one I actually didn't put the glaze on, so you can, again, see the difference. Gives it a leather look, more matte. And then this one has a leather look, a little more shiny. So I hope you enjoyed that technique. And I hope you have fun playing with it and making cards and creating. Again, this is Jenn Gross. I am Journey Coach 586. And please check out my other YouTubes and my blog. I am #JourneyCoachJenn. Bye-bye.